previous distinguished alumni to join us for the celebration, and we have seven of them here this evening. Please stand as I call your name so you can be recognized. Dr. David Johnson graduated from Adams Summerhill class of 1960, and he's from the Distinguished Alumni class of 2009. Felicia Probert graduated from the Forest Hills High School class of 1979, Distinguished Alumni class of 2011. Now, I don't want to say anything, but that's my uncle and my sister, and I may have guilted them into joining us. They paid their way. Then we have 5 members of the class of 2022 here. We have 6 living members, and 5 of them are here, which is really impressive. I'm very pleased that they're here. We have Mr. Donald Bailey, Forest Hills class of 1969, Distinguished Alumni class of 2022. Dr. Richard Knavel, he's Adams Summerhill class of 1963. Dr. Amanda McKendry, Forest Hills class of 1997. Mr. Paul Robinson, South Fork Royal High School class of 1959. And Dr. Peter Stoner, Forest Hills class of 1975. In reviewing the nominations again after the honorees were selected, it's beyond difficult to try to condense into a tiny paragraph all that they have accomplished in their careers and contributed to their communities and the impact they have made on the people they meet. It's just so hard. It's just an impressive group, and we had a record number of nominations this year. We probably had, I think we had 12 nominations for the Distinguished Alumni, which is a record number for us, and that was really great. I had the honor of working with attorney Gary Costlow and his wife Margaret in my former life in the banking industry, and I count Margaret as one of my friends today. I'm pleased to say that. Gary was an extremely intelligent individual with a diverse knowledge in many subject areas outside the area of law. One of his nominators remarked that the one thing that struck out to her in meeting with him and then working with him is that Gary was always the first to point out with gratitude that Forest Hills gave him a solid educational foundation to become a scholar and a success in life. And he generously gave back to his alma mater in addition to giving back to the community. He formed the mock trial team with the then high school librarian Henry Palasko back in 1991, and that mock trial team is still active today. He served as a coach and a mentor for many years and often rode the team bus to local and state competitions. Attorney Costlow was nominated by Martha Boyd and Gloria Molnar, both of whom had interactions with him through Forest Hills. They aren't able to be here tonight, so I'm going to present Kelly Costlow, his daughter, one of his 3 daughters, who will speak on behalf of the Costlow family. Please come around.
Hi everyone, my name is Kelly Costlow Durantes, and I am Gary Costlow's middle daughter. I first just want to thank the Forest Hills Alumni Association for honoring my dad this evening and congratulate the other distinguished alumni. And thank both Martha Boyd and Gloria Molnar for nominating my dad for this recognition. My dad was so proud of his family and his community. He talked a lot about growing up on the Costlow farm in Sydenham and the lessons he learned from his father and uncle. And he always made sure that we understood the role his mother played in their home, the matriarch of the family that ran the farm, the family, and a trading business. He often would compare my mother, Margaret, to his mother, talking of their strength and intelligence, especially when it comes to running a business. His parents signed him up for monthly book clubs, where he began his love for reading, helped him with science fair projects, and worked relentlessly to make sure he got a good education. And my dad worked even harder at school because he, not so secretly, hated waking up to work on the farm. He always said he would have preferred to have been reading. His upbringing helped him learn about the value of a good education at a young age. And he taught my sisters and I that if we took the time to learn, no one could take that knowledge we gained away from us. He accomplished so much, and it all started here at Forest Hills, where he had caring teachers and coaches that helped guide him. My dad was a 1968 alumnus of Forest Hills High School 1972 of Brown University, and 1975 from Villanova Law School, where I also attended. After graduating law school, my dad moved back home to Johnstown, where he practiced law, alongside his mentor, Marlon B. Stevens, with my mom running his office and working as more than just his paralegal. My dad continued to practice law with my mother until he passed away in February of 2022. He dedicated his spare time to learning French, studying art, traveling to Europe, sailing trips with his friends in the West Indies, and he always had a stack of books in his library on different subjects that he was studying, not just reading, to become an expert about his favorite topics. He was heavily involved in the community. He was a member and former president of the Cambria County Bar Association. He was admitted to the bar of the United States Supreme Court, and he argued cases before the Pennsylvania Superior Court and the Pennsylvania Supreme Court. When he passed, he was a solicitor for Richland Township Planning Commission, Cambria Township, Greater Johnstown Career and Technology Center, and the Forest Hills Municipal Authority. He was a former public defender and assistant district attorney, the former solicitor for Adams Township Zoning Authority, Adams Township Water Authority, and West Taylor Township. And of course, he helped coach the Forest Hills mock trial team for 20 years. There are so many reasons to honor my dad, but I know in my heart that having the community he loved and dedicated his life's work to, recognizing him tonight would be his greatest honor. We love him and miss him every day, but know the knowledge he shared with all of us will live on. Thank you. Sorry. Thank you.
That would have really thrown me over if I had to say. Our next honoree is Dr. Gregory, and Dr. Reighard states that no one calls him doctor, except for his students and staff. Even his wife doesn't call him doctor, because she considers their children, one an ophthalmologist and one a cardiologist, the real doctors. Greg grew up living next to his grandparents' farm in the Hope area. He spent his days helping with farm chores where he developed his interest in fruits and vegetables. He also spent time in the area, mountain forests, hunting and foraging, where he developed his love for trees. Among his career accomplishments and accolades, and there are so many, his collaboration in the development of the trademark Guardian Peach rootstock, providing an important breakthrough in protecting peach trees from disease. And today, over 90% of peach trees planted in the southeast United States are planted on Guardian rootstock. Dr. Reighard is recognized as one of the top 5 peach specialists in the world, so the next time you have a peach, thank Greg. Chester Hughes and the Forest Hills High School class of 1973 were honored to nominate Dr. Gregory Reighard.
Thank you. What a wonderful group here, and wonderful evening. I see one of my former teachers here, Mr. Robinson. I was in the Spanish Honor Society. I don't know. My daughter studied in Spain, Paul, so she's fluent in Spanish, so at least about that. Well, first of all, I should thank, obviously, the Forest Hills Association for doing this. I'll talk more about you in a little bit later. Of course, the distinguished alumni that are here, I want to thank them for coming and what they've all done for the community, and invited guests. Obviously, I want to thank my parents. They're both deceased. My grandfather, who, when I first started as a boy, we always planted by the Posey woman, and I didn't know what the Posey woman was, but it's in the almanac. He was old school. He worked 47 years in the mines and still had a farm for 9 children. So learned a lot from him. It wasn't related to science, but I learned appreciation for agriculture. And doing that type of work and spent a lot of time in the woods, I got a passion for trees. When I was a teenager, I planted literally hundreds, over a couple thousand trees on strip jobs between Fifficktown and Merrill Point. Then they came back and got that east seam and took all those trees out again. So my work's not there, it disappeared. But that type of thing, and Chester, I raised pheasants for the Game Commission because I like just to grow things. So that's sort of my youth. I lived in Mount Hope. One of our nominees, he's next door to where I used to live. So anyhow, I have a lot to be thankful for. Those of you who heard me talk to the students, I'm going to change the talk a little bit. You'll hear some of the same stuff, but then I guess after going to the pep rally, I really had to change my mind what I'm talking about. But we'll get to that in a little bit. My upbringing, no one in my family, either my dad's side or my mother's side, really went to college, so it was a really blue-collar work ethic. My dad was in the Korean War. They spent 30 years at Bethlehem, and then, of course, the layoffs. My other uncles worked in coal mines or the steel mills. So there was really no mentor for me going to school or going to college and going on. Anybody did well in school. And that's where I'm really well, maybe I'll tell you about elementary school. That's more fun than I went to the St. Michael's School, which was Longmore now. And all I know is the playground was asphalt. So how do we play on asphalt? I don't know. So we had basketball hoops. So I was the editor of the paper, because I scored a lot of points, Eric. You weren't playing in those days. So. But, and then we had a cinder pile. And that was our sewer. We played marbles there. And I remember, I still have my marbles that I won. I probably won more than I lost, but still, it was fun. So that was our outdoor exercise. Really not that much. But what I remember is the teachers. My first grade teacher was Miss Topper. I believe Miss Amps for second grade. I had Miss Greer for a couple grades. And remember that name, because I'm going to talk about it later, because I mentioned that to the students. And Mr. Cannon was sixth grade. But all we had was chalkboards. We didn't have computers. We had books. Eric Weiser, Dr. Weiser, he always wanted to compete with me with the eraser head tag, eraser head run around. That's how we cleaned them erasers on our head in those days. But Eric said he beat me, but he had more hair. He could stick in his hair. But some of the fun things we did. The teachers made it fun. I was selected for the spelling bee there, and so it was a very good time. I didn't know any better because growing up, it was kind of rural. And we only played with the kids that we had. We didn't have a ball field where I lived, so we played softball. My grandfather was scoutmaster, so the fence was barbed wire. I still have a scar. I do. But those are things you remember. We went to middle school, Triangle School at that time. Coral was the middle school, and that's where I was exposed to sports. I played football under Earl Wadsworth. I still have a crook in my neck because he loved to grab that face mask. I was a lineman. And Eric, we didn't make our blocks. He let us know about it the hard way. But I learned team sports there. Teachers did a good job. I was very prepared for high school. Then, of course, I went to the current high school, which is new now, but we went to it was the old school. And I guess there's a lot of things I did there. I was active in a number of activities, but I enjoyed sports. I played 3 sports. Football, I'm not sure. I mean, I was the only lineman who played both ways, so practice was hell. I mean, I got beat up every day. And Freddie Vespo was my coach, and he liked to toughen us up. So there was a cinder pile where the parking lot was. So we would do our grab call because we used 4-point stance back then, both offensive and defensive linemen. So you'd have us work on there, and then do our Oklahoma drills and whatever. He always said, if you can play on that cinder, that grass will be a piece of cake. Go out there and play. But it took a little, I guess, persistence for us to go out and do that, and he made us tougher. But the one thing I remember from my football coaches were, I'm not sure if it was Sponsky or Dr. Endler, but essentially, they always said that when we practice, you're only going to get better or you're going to get worse, and you never stay the same. So you always got to improve yourself. And so everything I do, I always try to do something positive, always trying to improve myself. Because just doing nothing, you don't stay the same. The world changes quickly, you actually get behind, so to speak. Now, obviously, it's difficult to stay ahead, but I've always kept that. That's one thing I remember from my football playing days. I do remember every score, every missed tackle, we were 6-2-1 that year. But unfortunately, we played in mud quagmire that last game, and we don't have that artificial field they have now, so sort of missed out on that. So from school, I mean, those are some things I learned. Also, I guess going to college, once again, I did have a mentor in my family, and Reed Gendler was very good at indirectly encouraging me to go to school, go to college. I really knew nothing about SATs. I I don't know if we had free tests or not, but I never studied for them. And one day they said, go to UPJ and take this test. And fortunately, I did well enough to go to college. But all the instructors I had more of the science curriculum, so I didn't have all the instructors. The ones I had were very caring. I mean, really wanted you to do your best. And I have nothing but good things to say, because we didn't have the technology you have today. We didn't have the internet or computers at that time. So once again, it was largely chalkboard and obviously books. And that was the avid reader. So I guess they got it out of us. You know, there's some students that want to do that, but between the coaches and the teachers, I got a great start, a great foundation. And I might add the community, which I'm going to talk about the community a little bit. We always had great community support at sporting events. You know, football was big. Dr. Bailey came and it got bigger, but it was actually big in the 60s, and I played, early 70s. The community would turn out. It wasn't just parents and grandparents, but a lot of different people came out. And a lot of the other sporting, I played basketball for a while, and we had good attendance there. So the community supported, whether they had children in school or not. So you have good teachers, good coaches, and community. I think it built a great foundation, because when I went to major universities, I was a lot of kids that had private schooling. They had pre-calculus, they had things I didn't have. So I was a little bit, not bewildered, but I wasn't quite prepared. But I still managed to get through it and do well, because I had a great foundation from the school district. I did talk to the students, try to give them some sort of advice of what I've learned, but you're all accomplished people. I don't need to tell you what you need to know. So I want to talk a little bit about, I went to the pep rally. Well, I went to the school. The school definitely has all the bells and whistles. I'm going to talk a little bit about where I live. We have a lot of new schools going up here almost every year. I think we got a great school for the size of the district. The students were very orderly. I was there when they changed classes. When we were speaking, I watched the eyes. I didn't see anybody yawning or nodding off. I mean, that's unusual when you have a couple hundred students there. I thought they were really good. And then I went separate from the group, and I talked with some of the teachers that were having a class just to see what their opinion was. And they were very enthusiastic, and they really exuded it when I'm talking to them. And that's what you need. You need that enthusiasm. So I was very pleased to see that. So then I went to what was next? The pep rally. And I've been to many pep rallies, and when I was in school, the football players had to talk, or the captains had to talk, and I had to give speeches and such, because I was a co-captain. And they didn't do that. They interviewed one football player, and he said, what are you going to do tonight? And they say, win. He said, win, that was one word. That was it. But what was really fun was the fact we had a flag football game. Now that was it. I was tempted. I just had shoulder surgery, so I couldn't run out. That was my excuse. But they showed a lot of enthusiasm. There's a lot of them a little bit younger than maybe, they're probably in their 30s. But they really went at it. People were diving, falling, and no one broke a leg, fortunately. But so the enthusiasm of the teachers and then the students, the principal and vice principal did a great job of revving up the student population. And I don't look like 12, but I was sitting with the 12 and 14-year-olds, and I had two students come up to me. One said to me that, you mentioned Miss Greer, and I said, yes. He said, well, she was my great-grandmother. And I'm going, so he's the fourth generation of his family that's in this stayed in this area. And then a young lady came up to me, and she said, we live up by Gregory where we live next door almost. And I said, well, you relate to him? I said, yeah, Reverend Kayampa was my great-grandfather. That was my pastor for 12 years when I lived in Mount Hope. And once again, she's the fourth generation. So it just shows you there's people that really have a love or want to stay in this community, and it's the school. And that comes to the point I want to make. I've worked in maybe 30 countries. I've a lot of small towns and rural areas, some cities, but school is really, all they talk about is their school. They want to show me their school. It's really the face of their community. The pride is your school. And that's extremely important. And that's an association like you have. There's PTA for parents or whatever, but they're so busy, they're both all working and they're worried about their children. Really, an association like this is really where you can provide the extra support and funding to do things that help support the school. Because teachers, I teach not that much of a researcher, but I do teach at the university level. And really, and I appreciate any teacher, especially from K to 12, you really have a lot of limitations, rules. I was told I couldn't talk about what our teachers used to do to us. But things are, you know, much more nicer. But the point is, you know, not all parents can be great parents, but Alumni Association provides support, whether it's funding or having events, to let people know about the school, because, it's, again, the school is really the face of the community. If you have a good school, you have a lot of pride, and I've seen it all over the world. It's not just here or else. And I really applaud everything that you're doing. Like where I'm at in South Carolina, since I moved there, the population has increased by 25%, so over 1 million. In my area, I'm in a tri-county area, we've had 7 new high schools built and 10 elementary schools built since I've been there. Now some are all new districts, some are just enlarging or replacing, but there's at least 2 new districts in the population. And everyone, at least the ones that I'm familiar with, I'm of course at Clemson, so we really have very nice facilities and we have a lot of input. But we do have association that really has some input when they're doing the planning, so the arts aren't kept out and some things like that. When you have to cut budget, certain things get cut out. And at least where I'm living, those don't get cut out. They find a way to make it work. And you know, PTA can't do that much, but if you have an organization of alumni people that are distinguished in the communities, and they usually serve on boards in the community, they really make a difference. And I've seen that, and I think this association here definitely can make it. It does make an impact and can continue to do that. So I'm very honored to be honored here. This is a different type of honor. I've gotten mostly academic honors, and I've got TV honors. I'm not a TV guy, but you know, you never know what's going to happen. But let's see if there's anything I missed. I really, you know, I appreciate the honor, but I really want to commend you, because really what you're doing is so important. I'm just one of the elements that gets brought into it. But our distinguished alumni, I mean, I watched on, they're filming? They filmed it, I watched what Paul said, and other people said in 2022, and all that's so true. And I think that this organization is doing a great job trying to do the best. You know, I have about 140 students per class. You're really a medium to small school district, but you're doing a great job, and you don't have any major industries. I've worked in some areas where we have BMW, and they donate tons of money to the school district, things like that, but we don't have that here. Once the steel mills left, what happened. So I guess I can talk, I talk too much. But the point is, I guess the last thing I would say is, my professional and personal career is rooted right here. It's where it started. And so that's why this award is very special to me. Thank you very much.
Mr. Galen George owns George Trailer Inc., which is a successful company he started in 1991, supplying storage trailers to industries across Pennsylvania. But Galen's commitment to giving back to his community is the main reason he's being honored tonight. It is just what he does, selflessly. In addition to currently serving on the Posthumously School Board, as he has for 15 years, the past 5 as president, he's a member of the Greater Johnstown Community, I can't remember what that means. Career and Technology Center. I have the initials here, which is why it's left my mind. On the advisory board, he's active with the South Fork Historical Society and has served in numerous leadership capacities with the Lions Club District 14J and with the South Fork Lions Club, and has won numerous awards for his service there. Galen and his wife Lori generously support Forest Hill School District clubs, events, local libraries, fire companies, ambulance associations, and other charities. On the side, with very few people knowing this, he created a larger-than-life papier-mâché octopus, which he transported on a trailer to Forest Hills Elementary School for last year's Read Across America celebration. If you imagine the kids when they walked in, there's a huge octopus in their school. Now, I don't think it had 8 legs, if I remember correctly.
It had 4.
Yeah, but he made it work, regardless. And nobody really knew he did that, he just did that. So, Galen was nominated by Dr. Richard Knable and Dr. David Lehman. Galen George.
Thank you, thank you. One of the things that, as I was walking in the door here, was someone approached me and said, "What's your claim to fame?" And I thought about that, and I guess my biggest claim to fame is convincing Lori to marry me. Because without her, none of this is possible. I've had the privilege of working with Attorney Costlow at the VOTAC. Tremendous man. I enjoyed our conversations. We dearly miss it. Greg, yes, I live right across the road from the old farmstead. My father-in-law, Camellis, lives right above you, the old farmstead. So,
yeah, he named his golf balls in my field.
Yeah, the golf ball. Well, I did tell you some of them might not have been Camellis is hitting back.
You just want to take the blame.
Yes, that's what we did there. So, I want to start by expressing my heartfelt gratitude to the Forest Hills Alumni Association for this incredible recognition. It's truly an honor to stand before you tonight. I would also like to thank and extend my thanks to our parents. My parents are over here, and Camellis Lori's parents are here, so thank you for being here. Family members, fellow alumni, board members, friends, administrators, teachers, support staff, Dr. Landon and Dr. Knable, thank you for the nomination. I thank you. Let me get through this. But I'd like to take a second to acknowledge Lori's parents, Camellis and Betty. Today is their 67th wedding anniversary. So, since we had supper and cake, we don't need a party. Today I want to share some thoughts on entrepreneurship and the vital importance of giving back to our Forest Hills community. The term entrepreneur refers to someone who organizes, manages, assumes the risk of a business or enterprise. In my experience, 3 key ingredients contribute to becoming a successful entrepreneur: planning, passion, and preparation. My journey began in 2nd grade when our teacher asked us what we wanted to be when we grow up. While my classmates aspired to be teachers, nurses, firefighters, I boldly declared my dream of becoming a professional race car driver. This was fueled by many weekend trips to dirt track races with our family and the thrill of our fast go-karts and snowmobiles. I felt prepared. However, as I grew older, I realized that this path might not be practical. By junior year of high school, I was feeling lost. No plan, no passion, and really no clear direction for my future. My dad suggested accounting, and while I hesitated at first, he assured me it was a solid foundation for a business career. With that advice, I enrolled in accounting classes in high school my junior and senior years. My senior year, I participated in the work co-op program to help save money for college. In 1984, I graduated from Penn State with a bachelor's degree in accounting and later earned a master's degree in personnel administration and industrial relations from St. Francis College. With my plan and preparation in place, I was still on the lookout for my true passion. After graduation from college, I found myself reluctant to pursue a career in accounting. But then life presented an unexpected opportunity. A job at a company in Altoona that rented office trailers and storage trailers. I had no prior knowledge of this field at all. But I took the plunge. Under the mentorship of my boss, I learned invaluable lessons about business and building relationships. Insights that would prove essential in my later ventures. After 5 years, my boss made a decision to sell part of his business to a national chain. Not knowing how this was going to impact my career, I saw this as an opportunity to take a chance and move on to the next phase of my career. In 1991, Lori and I discovered our passion and became entrepreneurs ourselves, launching George Trailers Incorporated, an equipment rental company specializing in office trailers, modular building, and storage containers. We began in our backyard. What began in our backyard has grown into a prominent facility in Glitzen, PA, serving major construction sites all over the state of Pennsylvania. Community. We often talk about Forest Hill School is the hub of the community. As Greg mentioned, the school is the hub of the community. What does that truly mean? Our students are bused to school, receive meals, and attend classes to support their academic and emotional needs. They have numerous opportunities for involvement in clubs, sports, and the arts, while their families come out to support them. The school is a beautiful building. It serves as a vital tool for nurturing our students' educational, emotional, and physical needs. It cannot, however, reach out to comfort a crying child or guide a teenager facing life challenges. Our mission is to instill a sense of pride and purpose in our students, preparing them to become not only productive adults, but also leaders in their chosen fields. The true hub of the community is found in the people gathered here tonight. Grandparents, board members, educators, community members, organizations like the Forest Hills Alumni Association, Forest Hills Historical Society, Forest Hills Heritage Society, the local churches, libraries, first responders, Southport and Adams Township Lions Club, Bible school program. Some of our students have never been to church. This enables them an opportunity to attend church 1 hour a day off campus. Tremendous. Kids send postcards back with just telling them what it means to be exposed to church. And many more essential roles in supporting and nurturing our children. As I look out, I see a lot of people that have contributed to that. And I'm going to call out a couple, and I hope they don't get upset with me. Mark and Patty Cohart. They represent the Southwark Historical Society and do a tremendous job. Right now, Mark has a team of folks that are working up in Falcon Field to restore, well, to not restore, but I guess to start a bike path trail. And it's coming. Mark, what are we going to hopefully?
We're going to dedicate it at the end of this month.
Okay, so look forward to some of that coming out. A tremendous effort on their part to give students, people in the community, a sense of pride. So thank you guys. The other thing that they did was tremendous was a summer lunch program for kids in the area. They did that, and I believe you told me you guys were the largest district in the Pittsburgh area to serve lunches. I believe is what you told me. I mean, that's phenomenal. This gave our kids an opportunity to get a lunch, something they may not have had that day. In conjunction with that, the Southwark Library had programs, and they would then take the kids over to the Historical Society for lunch. Tremendous. Thank you for your efforts. The other thing that's just recently that's been coming up, John Augustine, who is the Career Technology Center chairman, this week we were talking about with the disaster in North Carolina. The students have approached them to they want to do something to send down for the victims in North Carolina. So what next week is they're going to be doing, they're going to be raising funds next week. They're going to have a daily type thing where they're going to be making gauze or selling, to raise money for sending down to the folks down in North Carolina. Things like that are my true passion as far as service and community. I give John and his team a tremendous attaboy on that. I'd like to see on something like this, maybe the school we can maybe partner with the school district down in that area to see what they need. Maybe we'll partner with Lions clubs down there, see what they need, and then we can respond to that because the devastation is unbelievable. Part of their package that they presented that I saw, and we'll be putting it out here for other board members, is they made a video of the 1977 flood. Well, let's go back to 1889. No one's was it here from 36 flood, and I don't think it.
77 flood. A lot of us have recollections of the 77 flood. They put together a video of some of the scenes from the 77 flood. So they're going to put that together as a package. I mean, we are the flood city. So I think we will partner with them to try to do something along those lines. The other thing I'm very proud of is through the Lions Club, Southwark and Adams Township Lions Club, we partnered and sponsored the Forest Hills Leo Club. Through that Leo Club, part of their service project, Cassie, my daughter, is the advisor, but this is a student-led organization. One of the primary things we're looking to do, or they're looking to do, is childhood cancer. Last week, they had an event where they partnered with the high school volleyball team, and they had different things going on, but they ended up raising over $2,000 for childhood cancer. Those are the types of things that are very important to me, and thank you for taking care of that.
As a school district, we believe that the best way to support our students is not merely waiting for them to walk through the front door, but to engage students and parents out in the communities, asking, what do you need? How can we help? I commend Dr. Lehman and Dr. Dill for their exceptional leadership in this area, as well as our dedicated board members, administrators, teachers, and support staffs who've embraced this outreach philosophy. Going back to a couple other things I want to recognize, and we have tonight with Mr. Paul Robinson, Don Bailey, Ed Bowser, who am I missing? Anyhow, they were part of this whole school when we built this $50 million school. Each one had a special part in that building and how it was done. So I want to thank you guys for that. It's great to have 4 of you here. It's tremendous, so thank you for that. As I meet with friends and acquaintances, conversations often shift to retirement and future goals. For me, the idea of retirement seems distant. I am deeply invested in my business and community involvement. I've started to transition day-to-day business operations. My new title, I've been told, is consultant. While I'm still defining that role, some days it includes the joy of picking up my grandson, Trey, from pre-K. If you don't know the pre-K drill, there's a morning and afternoon. Pre-K dismissal is at 11:20, I believe. Well, I'm there about a little before 11, so I'm first in line. Other days I'm tasked with getting Natalie, Knox, Candy, and Bailey off the bus. As I reflect on past, present, and future goals, I'd like to share a story that truly encapsulates what drives my decisions in family, business, and community involvement. One Sunday morning, the pastor was speaking to a group of elementary students sitting in the front pews. He asked them, "What is your goal in life?" The responses came pouring in. "I want to be a doctor so I can help people. I want to be a teacher. I want to be a fireman." And then, from the back, a quiet little boy raised his hand and said, "My goal is to go to heaven." The pastor smiled, for that was the answer he was seeking. That moment has stayed with me throughout my life. Like that little boy, every night when I lay my head down, I pray that I've done enough to take one step toward my ultimate goal of getting to heaven. This simple yet profound aspiration guides my actions and decisions, reminding me of the importance of service, love, and community. Thank you.
Dr. Sara Sarnoski is our our youngest distinguished alumni honoree ever, and what she has accomplished in her 15 years since graduation from Forest Hills is, I believe, more than any of us will accomplish in our lifetime. Her accomplishments in the social sector as it relates to philanthropy and global health have won her many accolades and awards. Her current position with the Gates Foundation allows her to follow her core belief that every life has equal value. In reading Sara's nominations from 4 different people who knew her in 4 different parts of her life, there was a common theme. They, of course, all said Sara's extremely smart and talented and has won many awards for brilliance in her career. Blah, 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 right? One nominator even stated that Sara deserves this award not only for her achievements, but for what she does with her talents and her unbeatable mind. But that is not what any of them started their nominations with. Every nomination started with a similar description. She's kind, caring, empathetic, inspiring, passionate. In this wacky world we live in today, what better reason to be distinguished than for being a kind, caring, empathetic, passionate individual? Sara was nominated by her husband, Dr. Ethan Sarnoski, by Dr. Molly Ryan, who was a fellow grad student with her at Yale University, by Tristan Goodrich, her former supervisor at McKinsey & Company, and by her very proud father, Raymond Katrancha. Ladies and gentlemen, Sara Sarnoski.
Thank you, and thank you to this community and to the Forest Hills Alumni Association. I'm so grateful and so happy to be back here. Listening to the stories of my fellow distinguished alumni and connecting with each of you as we walked in, it's so clear how much this community cares about each other and takes care of each other. And to me, I know you mentioned that being a key feature that, it's something I've taken with me as I've built my career. And so I really want to thank you first, thank the association, and thank my parents, both of whom are here, Ray and Katrancha. I also got yelled at after my last speech because everybody else mentioned they were from Mount Hope, but I forgot to mention I was from Dunlow. So I got to raise the Dunlow pride a little bit in here. But what I want to talk about today is how this community and this school, I think, really did 2 big things for me that have helped me to build my career and to go out into the world and do what I've done. And I'd say the first set of that, I did talk about quite a bit with the students yesterday of the skills that I gained here. And that was skills in the classroom, of course, but there's so much that we've all learned outside of the classroom in our time in this community at Forest Hills. And, the kids in extracurriculars and sports, loved watching you run back onto the football field yesterday.
I didn't fall.
Didn't fall either. But it's through those activities where I and many of us built skills like problem solving, like communication, like, managing projects, managing teams, managing people, and a number of core interpersonal skills that, regardless of your career, regardless of if you're creating peaches or creating your own business as an entrepreneur or whatever you're doing, these are skills that each of us are using and each of us learned and built here. And I think the second piece that has been really important to me is the passion of this community, the caring of this community. I grew up here really wanting to believe that everybody deserves the chance to make what they want out of life. They deserve the chance to be healthy, to have opportunities available to them to build their career, and this is what has been my guiding star, and again, it's really what has been instilled in me here. And when you look at my journey over these, last 15 years, now I know, I've taken a number of different turns in my career. I've worked on a number of things, and I can talk about this in a minute, but from neuroscience to economic mobility to gender equality to nature conservation. And the goal of all of these has been, how do we make this world a better place? How do we enable the people who live in it to make the life that they want to live for themselves and to be successful? And again, when I really think about what I'm thankful for here, it's that sort of passion and that caring nature that all of you and my parents and the school, and I've seen so many folks that I've been in church with over the years, that really instilled in me here and helped me take that forward. And so when I left here, it was hard to figure out where I wanted to start my career. As many of you may know, I have a brother with a genetic disability. And I thought that the way to choose my career, the way to choose my path forward, was fully focused on what was the sort of content or knowledge area that I wanted to pursue and address. And so I started out my career as a scientist. And I went to Yale. I studied the underlying molecular mechanisms of epilepsy, autism, schizophrenia. And I loved what I was doing as a scientist. I loved solving problems. And this, again, core topic of solving problems was something that I learned here. I think I used an example of being on the farm yesterday where, the horses get out of the field. Someone needs to figure out how we're going to go find them, who's going to go where, and get them back. And so whether that was in the school, in this community, or at home, that core problem solving was something I learned here and then I took with me to be a scientist. And then over time, I learned that it wasn't just the content area that drove my passion and what I wanted to do. I started to learn that the day-to-day activities that I was doing and how I was spending my time was also important, not just for me to continue giving back, but for me to be happy as a person. And as a scientist, I spent a lot of my time alone solving research problems. And I wanted to find a way to solve problems with others that was more collaborative, and I got to work with a number of amazing colleagues. And this is how I ended up becoming a management consultant at McKinsey, where I spent 6 years solving problems for multi-billion-dollar companies and philanthropies. And this was a career that I didn't know existed when I was here, and I think that's okay and that's great. And it's learning to adapt as you gain new information, and I think adaptability is something that, as we mentioned, our flood city here is very good at, and another skill set that you learn and take forward. And through that, I've had the opportunity to work with billionaires to set up brand new foundations and give money to nature conservation. I've had the opportunity to help distribute smartphones to young women entrepreneurs in Africa who want to start a business but simply don't have the technology that they need to do that. And I've had the opportunity to address other economic mobility concerns throughout the US. And again, coming back to where I started this, it's that mix of the skills that I gained here and again, the passion to make this change that's allowed me to go on and do that, to do these things. And then finally, I most recently joined the Gates Foundation as a deputy director in our water, sanitation, and hygiene practice. And through this work, I've got to bring in a passion of mine that I hadn't yet integrated in my career. And I believe you mentioned, was race car driver okay. Was your Forest Hills career dream? I think mine was to be a dolphin trainer. And I don't know, I guess I could never quite reconcile it. I wanted to spend my career helping people, but if I could help dolphins along the way, I wanted to do that. And I now find myself working in a sector in water conservation where we're trying to improve water efficiency and do things that will both help our oceans, help the manatees, it will help people, and it's given me the chance to integrate that passion into my life. And so I think that looking back across my journey in each of these pieces, just the passion and the skills that I gained here are the things that have allowed me to do what I want to do and to get to where I am today. And I couldn't be more thankful again for all of you and for this community for setting me up for success in my career. So thank you.
We have very talented teachers in our high school arts and technology department. Justin Meyer and Carol Cesare and their students design and manufacture the gift that each alumni will take home with them tonight. And I need my big muscles for these. Before we go this evening, I would like to thank Dr. David Lehman and Dr. Robert Dill. They have been so supportive and so helpful with everything that we do with the Alumni Association. Please give them a round of applause. Galen George, Brandy Penditzer, Dr. Canale are here this evening. They're so supportive of the Alumni Association. We're very appreciative of that. Also the dining services team at the school who provided the delicious food we had yesterday for both the luncheon and the pregame reception. And the facility services team who made sure that all of our many requests for setups and teardowns for all these events went off without a hitch. They were a huge help to us, so I thank them for that. I want to thank Kim Hostetter, who's over here taking pictures and videos and recording this event. We can't do this without her. And I really want to thank our student ambassadors who are not here tonight. Hannah Byer is our senior representative, Anna Lushko is our junior representative. Both of them were at the homecoming dance tonight, so good for them. But they, yesterday, were at the high school greeting our distinguished alumni when they came. They took them on a thorough tour of the school. Last night they escorted them out onto the field, except Greg ran onto the field and we could keep up with him. So. But we're really proud of them. They do a great job of representing the Alumni Association and the school, the Forest Hills School District. We're really proud of them. And most importantly, I need to say thank you to the members of the Forest Hills Alumni Association who helped put the celebration together. Carol Cesare, Nicole Crowd, Donna Patty Hudson, Lonnie Donnelly, Allison Richardson, Laurie Roberts, and Fran Walters. It's a great team effort to make all these arrangements and decorations and programs to set up and tear down. So thank you to all of you for making this a wonderful celebration for this year's Distinguished Alumni Class of 2024. And the last thing before we leave is I don't want any of these moms, so please make sure that somebody takes a mom from their table. Thank you very much. Safe travels and